At Ripple, we've talked a lot about the Internet of Value, our North Star of enabling money to move like information does today. But how does the Internet of Value translate into banking? It starts with your customers. Your customers' payment demands are changing, and the Internet of Value plays a large part in delivering on those demands. Across retail, SME, and corporate customers, as well as the emerging wave of platform-based businesses, they are demanding global transactions that are seamless, real-time, certain, and cost-effective. Yet today's global transactions fall far short of those expectations. That's because the current payments infrastructure is a patchwork of centralized networks, legacy technology, and different payment rails. It's disparate. The technology, systems of record, messaging, and rules are different from one network to the next. It's slow. It takes an average of 3 to 5 days to settle across the numerous intermediaries. It's error-prone. Failure rates are high and data flow between intermediaries is poor. And it's costly. Processing costs are high, an average of $25 to $35 for each payment. The downstream impact of these problems provides a subpar experience that's driving customers from your bank to fintech providers that can provide a better customer experience. We're solving this with RippleNet, which is the cornerstone of enabling the Internet of Value. RippleNet is a global decentralized network that brings together a diverse ecosystem of payments players for the first time in history. Let's look at what could be the fully realized future state of RippleNet, starting with the ecosystem of players who are categorized into 2 functional groups. First are network users. These are corporates, SMEs, small banks, and payment providers who only send payments. Second are the network members. These are banks and payment providers that serve as the foundation of the network as they process payments and source liquidity. Network members process payments through real-time settlement with bidirectional messaging. With RippleNet, banks and payment providers can process payments more efficiently through the pre-validation of every transaction to eliminate failures and through rich data attachments for every payment. It also provides payment certainty through the pre-disclosure of information prior to settlement to eliminate failures, and through atomic settlement that provides pass-fail processing across all intermediaries to avoid settlement leg risk. Network members can also source liquidity through access to an on-demand pool of liquidity through digital assets. RippleNet provides the ability to lower liquidity costs by being able to source liquidity on demand and reduce the amount of nostros required to make global payments. For network users, again, these are corporates, SMEs, small banks, and other payment providers, RippleNet provides a standardized API-based interface to originate payments through their banking partner. They can access across networks globally, they can send payments on demand in real time, they can attach rich data like invoices to any payment, and they can gain complete visibility into payment status and delivery timing. RippleNet is solving the inefficiencies of today's inefficient payments networks. It's standardized. The technology, APIs, rules, and governance are consistent across the network. It's fast. The technology provides real-time settlement and bidirectional messaging. It's certain. Atomic pass-fail processing eliminates payment failures. And it's low cost. High STP rates and flexible liquidity provisioning lowers processing costs. RippleNet is the first step towards bringing the Internet of Value to life through one frictionless experience to send money globally.
So this comes from cryptonews.net. It's a news finance site. And with that said, let's get into some of the good stuff. So it says China and Singapore pave the way for sustainable investments, right? And when we get further into this, not that I'm trying to clear my throat like Crypto Hulk all of a sudden, just kind of happened. What the heck? All right, so there's a task force, right? I'm gonna blow this up a little bit more. Yeah, there is a task force. It's kind of crazy stuff, right? So this task force aims to deepen. Let's go that way. Go this way. They're aiming to deepen bilateral cooperation in green and transition finance with a focus on facilitating greater public-private sector collaboration for a low-carbon future in the region. Now listen to this for a second. This particular organization called GFTF plans to co-develop a set of financial standards, products, technologies, and definitions to lower carbon footprints. The task force will enable public-private participants from China and Singapore to collaborate on concrete initiatives that will catalyze capital flows to support a credible and inclusive transition to a low-carbon future for the countries and the region. So if you know me, I do these types of things. I say to myself, okay, nothing like, just like, you know, all the other terms out there in the world. What the heck is GFTF? Well, let's jump into that, because you know what? We need to know about some of these things. So shout out to this lady. When I was looking this up, she actually had a deep dive into GFTF. She literally posted this 2 days ago. So shout out to this lady, Virginia O'Shea, right? And I'm going to go ahead and follow her. She says, one team up to watch on the ESG front. Isn't it hilarious that the U.S. focuses on China's potential in fintech? Now, remember what we mentioned earlier in regards to fintech with quant? I want to talk about fintech, right? She says, but basically, the U.S. ignores the fact they may be left behind by Asia and ROW on the green and sustainability agenda too. They're getting left in the absolute dust unless we've been fooled, or the U.S. is fooling everybody when it comes to steering away innovation and having it go overseas, right? So I pulled up what you see right here that was posted on the 20th in regards to MAS. This comes up in the process of doing so. And it talks about this lady, right? Gillian Tan. She is the Assistant Managing Director of the Development and International Group and Chief Sustainability Officer overseeing the development of Singapore as an international financial center, as well as mass sustainability strategies and international relations. So that's who that is. Let's jump more into this whole thing. So as we get into this, you got this as well, right? MAS, Monetary Authority of Singapore. Good stuff. As we take more of our deeper dive into this, you will see, like it shows right here, the Monetary Authority of Singapore, MAS, and the People's Bank of China, PBC, have extended their existing bilateral currency swap agreement for another 5-year term to 2027, right? So, okay, so all this stuff was going on in the background? Well, could very well be, right? So since this first came to fruition in 2010, the bilateral currency swap arrangement, which is BCSA, has become a key marker of financial cooperation between the two regions, with its aim to boost local economic resilience and financial stability. Now, when we jump back to this original thing that you saw, you'll see a little bit more of it right here, right? So anyway, I wanted to show you guys what GFTF was. Let me jump back to where we're at in regards to MAS. So it says, MAS Assistant Managing Director, the lady I just showed you, and Chief Sustainable Officer Gillian Tan reiterated the importance of the task force in strengthening sustainability, bond market connectivity, which includes two-way access to green and transition bond products. This is going to allow MAS and PBC to find common ground for tax anomalies, right? And definitions with respect to each other's existing transition activities. In addition, GFTS technology initiative will see the involvement of Metaverse Green Exchange. Now you may be wondering, like, what the heck is all of this? Listen to this. They are a licensed crypto exchange from Singapore and Beijing Green Exchange, which is a Beijing municipal government-approved company to facilitate sustainable finance adoption. Sustainable finance adoption? Now, I was looking more into this. There were some words, big words, that were brought up in regards to custodian. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my goodness. Like, everything is lining up almost like the stars at this particular point, because it's like maybe the Black Rocks of the world for the Chinese region. Hear me out on this, or the Asian region, right? It says the two companies are also tasked with piloting digital green bonds with, you bet, carbon credits. So before I get more into this, I said to myself, all right, we looked up GFTF, right? Who the heck is Metaverse Green Exchange? And as I pull that up, I found some info in regards to Metaverse Green Exchange. And here it is. Hold on, give me a second. There's this. So I found this site. It's called Block Data. Talks about this, right? Year of establishment, 2018. Gives a little gist about it, right? Metaverse Green Exchange, MVGX, is the first regulated exchange for the metaverse era with licenses from the Monetary Authority of Singapore, which is MAS, including recognized market operator, RMO, license, capital market service license for dealings in securities and collective investment schemes, providing custodial services such as, or I should say, as well as exempted licenses under the Payment Service Act. In regards to this project, MVGX is committed to bridging crypto assets with traditional financial industries. Kind of like sounds like, I'll just be honest, it sounds literally like alliance block, like the Chinese alliance block. All right, do I have your attention on that? Yeah. Bridging carbon trading markets from different jurisdictions and bridging liquid assets in real economy with wider investor accessibility. Now, before we jump over to the deep dive when it comes to them, let's jump back to what we have in regards to this whole thing of BCSA and some of these other ones. So in regards to BCSA, all right, I even asked ChatGPT about it. I said, tell me all about bilateral currency swap arrangement. I might as well show you. I don't care. So, ChatGPT came up with this thing. It says a bilateral currency swap arrangement, BCSA, is a financial agreement between two central banks to exchange their currencies for a specific period of time at a predetermined exchange rate. Aha! A predetermined exchange rate. I don't need to preach to the choir about how significant that is. The purpose of this arrangement is to provide liquidity to both countries. Ooh, financial markets in case of a financial crisis. Ooh, to facilitate trade between the two countries. Are you not paying attention? Pay attention to this. Under a BCSA, the central banks agree to exchange a specific amount of their currencies, which are then held by each bank for the duration of the agreement. At the end of the agreement, the currencies are exchanged back at the same exchange rate. The amount of the swap, yeah, you did hear it, swap and exchange rate are agreed upon by both parties before the swap even begins. Now, it says the BCSA is often used to address short-term imbalances in trade to provide a source of foreign currency in case of a financial crisis. For example, if one country experiences a shortage of a foreign currency, God, guys, are we not paying attention to this stuff? Are you kidding me? I'm telling you flat out, pay attention to this. It can borrow from the other country's central bank through a BCSA. Similarly, if there is a sudden surge of demand for a particular currency, a BCSA could provide, oh my goodness, liquidity to the market and stabilize the exchange rate. That's why this whole thing with Ripple China is so massive. I don't know if Crypto Hulk is explaining this part of it. Maybe he is. I don't know. I'm not trying to have everything spawn on with him. But I decided, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to just like share some of his stuff and then not elaborate on it. So it sparked my interest because I saw the whole thing with Quant, and I'm seeing all this stuff about regulatory framework. And we know that the next big step is regulatory clarity. And then from there, oh my gosh, like, do not be on the sidelines, right? Let's dive more into this. BCSAs are generally seen as a form of international cooperation and can help to promote economic stability and growth. They are particularly useful for countries, listen to this, guys, that have close economic ties, such as neighboring countries or those that engage in significant trade with each other. Where is the aha moment? The aha moment is what we literally saw earlier with the whole thing mentioned with Quant, right? With CBDCs. But for instance, China has a neighboring country of who? India. Remember I was talking about India earlier? Boom, there you go. Neighboring countries that engage in significant trade with each other. I understand that Redacted has reported that, there's that one border crisis and so on. And these guys are literally, about to go to war with each other. I get that, right? That's a different type of situation. But in reality, these countries do trade with each other, and they are part of the quote unquote BRICS nations, right? So there was that, and I was like, man, there is a lot to this particular deep dive. All right. So on top of that, I want to jump into this. And I basically, asked, tell me more about MAS and the PBC. Again, part of the particular outline. ChatGPT was on it. I was like, cool, this saves me time. It says MAS and PBC are both acronyms, right? Below some of the meanings. All right, let's jump into MAS just for a brief bit. MAS means Monetary Authority of Singapore. The Monetary Authority of Singapore is the central bank of Singapore. So going further from here, don't be surprised if you start seeing other content creators talking about MAS. All right. It is responsible, if you're wondering, for conducting monetary policy, issuing currency, and supervising the banking and financial industry in Singapore. Now listen to this. When we get further down into PBC, because this other stuff is just other acronyms, right? They're not related. The PBC is the People's Bank of China. The People's Bank of China, like it says, is the central bank of China. So if you ever see in the future, people just say, hey, the PBC, understand that's big, right? Because that is the central bank of China. And what do? They're responsible for formulating and implementing monetary policy, issuing currency, and regulating the banking and financial industry in China. Very cool stuff. Love ChatGPTs. Not all the time, right? But anyway, yeah, I thought I would basically jump into that. I think we have a tad bit more. So on this next part, I will save that because I realize I've been into this whole deep dive long enough. We're going to go back in the comments for a bit. You definitely want to stay around for this next particular segment, part of this deep dive outline with everything that's going on with Ripple China, all this stuff. And the deep dive for tonight is going to be this next part in regards to MVGX. Remember, we were talking about them in regards to this Metaverse exchange that's tied into Singapore and China and so on. Yeah, stay tuned for that. Smash that like if you haven't done so already. I don't know. I spent a good time before the show prepping all this stuff to make it a good show for you guys tonight. I think we should all pay attention, to say the least, on what the heck is going on here when it comes to CBDCs, who's going to be the first big players to get it done. And if anything, China basically lying to the world, saying that they're not gonna, embrace anything that has anything to do with crypto. What a crock! So before we get into the whole thing about that one particular exchange with the Metaverse and Singapore, China, and all that good stuff, let's jump back to this, all right? Because that was part of the outline. So check out what it says. It says the two companies that are tasked with piloting digital green bonds with carbon credits. We understand this whole thing with this Metaverse Green Exchange and also Beijing Green Exchange, right? And for tonight, we won't be getting so much into Beijing Green Exchange, right? You're welcome to do that on your own if you choose to, but we'll definitely get more into Metaverse Green Exchange. All right, so let's take a moment to do that actually. So we're going to pull that up. All right, here it is, mvgx.com. Why pay attention to this? Well, we'll get into that. Look at this though, right? They are the digital green exchange and climate solution provider, enabling a global carbon credit trading network to finance sustainability, building a green economy. So you can learn more. We're going to learn more right now. MVGX's proprietary digital ledger system tracks carbon footprint of every asset on its platform, allowing both issuers and investors to achieve carbon footprint disclosures. CNT is asset-backed token ABT. And no, sorry guys, when I saw that, I thought, really? That's going to be Arc Block? It's not that, right? Arc Block, I think, is when I pulled up ABT, it just didn't come up with that, right? So I typed in some of the other ones, right? And still nothing. I type in ABS, nothing. So anyway, CNT is an asset-backed token, ABT, which is essentially the digital version of an asset-backed securities, ABS, in traditional markets. CNT's fundamental value is directly linked to the value of its underlying assets, such as China's voluntary emission reduction credits, which are called VERS. China Certified Emissions Reductions, CCERS, and even MVGX's native token, which, we're at that site in regards to that. CNT gives any established organization the unique opportunity to quickly become carbon neutral. It says learn more. We're going to definitely do just that. So let's pull this up. And I believe this next part is going to come up here in a second. All right. So this is a carbon neutrality token, it says. Okay. And, if anything, it's interesting to find out things that kind of, I guess you could say, take you down the rabbit hole when it comes to all this. So carbon neutrality token, a proprietary asset-backed token developed by MVGX, listen to this, guys, enables cross-border trading of high-quality voluntary emission reductions without violating the National Determined Contributions NDC issues. And I did try to see okay, well, is this something you can, is there is this listed on CMC? Is it that type of thing? No, right? But it says you can invest now. You can look more into it and so on. So I thought, well, I guess I'll take more of a look into this. And I'm not saying that I'm invested into this or anything, but it was kind of like I had to go down that rabbit hole. Like, what the heck is this, right? So when you go there, they basically say that you can create an account, you can trade with them, blah, 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 if you choose to do so. We're going to jump back to this. So I'm going to play this for you guys, right? It says, what is a carbon neutrality token? All right. This is straight from YouTube. We're going to watch this, and then we'll be right back here in just a brief bit. All right. Here we go.
Exactly is.
Hold on. Here we go.
What exactly is Metaverse Green's Carbon Neutrality Token, or CNT, and how can it help to offset one's carbon emission? Before we talk about that, we need to understand what a carbon credit is. A carbon credit is a permit that allows the company that holds it to emit a certain amount of carbon dioxide or other greenhouse gases. 1 credit equals 1 ton of carbon dioxide. Under the international cap and trade system, companies that emit less than their cap may sell any unutilized credits to another company that needs them. This incentivizes private companies to reduce their greenhouse emissions because 1, they will be fined if they exceed the cap, and 2, they can make money by saving and reselling some of their emissions allowances. However, double counting occurs when Company A sells carbon credits to Company B, and both companies claim to have met their reduction targets by counting the surplus or additional carbon reductions. This is misleading and helps businesses avoid their environmental and social responsibilities. At MVGX, we are a regulated exchange, and we source high-quality carbon credits that have been verified and certified by reputable agencies to be units of emissions reduction or carbon removal. These carbon credits are then registered in regional, national, or international registries. We developed a proprietary distributed ledger technology which allows us to freeze these carbon credits at the point of issuance in their host country, and then to track these carbon neutrality tokens, or CNTs, as they're bought and sold on MVGX. This prevents double counting and still enables cross-border trading on the voluntary emissions market without triggering the UN's nationally determined contributions issues as established in the Paris Agreement. As such, businesses seeking to support the move to net zero emissions can be assured that trading CNTs on MVGX will offset the equivalent amount of carbon and make a real impact on climate change. MVGX, the exchange that makes a sustainable and greener future possible. To find out how you can start your journey towards carbon neutrality, visit us at www.mvgx.com or drop us a note at contact@mvgx.com.
All right, I'm just saying, I find it very interesting that, a company like this is tied to obviously what we have on this outline, right? When you get further into it, it's just a lot of crazy stuff. All right, before we wrap things up on this particular outline, I want to jump back to this. So where we're at is what you see right here, and that is this right here, where it says, furthermore, Chinese banks are reportedly opening bank accounts for regulated crypto companies, right? That is an example of one, right? What you just saw from that particular site, with several acting as a payment layer for the crypto platforms. The Wall Street Journal has reported that the state-owned Bank of Communications is in talks to open accounts for regulated companies, while Hong Kong's largest virtual bank, ZA Bank, will act as a settlement bank of crypto companies. All of these efforts show a strong push towards a low carbon future in the region, with the task force serving as a catalyst for greater collaboration between public and private sectors. That's why we put so much emphasis on showing you guys a little bit more of that deep dive in regards to MVGE, right? That Metaverse Green Exchange, right? But yeah, let's go further down. It says, it is clear that China and Singapore are taking proactive steps towards sustainability and green finance, setting example for other countries to follow, right? So my thing is this, you saw what Crypto Hulk showed you when it came to Ripple China. So maybe on the payment side of things, that's definitely something there, right? They're going to utilize that. But all this other stuff is big, right? Because you understand this is the new world that they're going towards. A strong, like it says, these efforts show a strong push towards a low carbon future in the region, that particular region, right? Southeast Asia and so on, right? Big stuff.
Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you have not yet subscribed, do yourself a favor and subscribe for more information on the ISO 222 compliant tokens, and hit the notification bell to make sure that you are aware of the new videos when they come up. Max and I cover these ISOs, and we also have a live show every single night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure you tune in for that. You won't want to miss it. Thanks again, and we will see you on the next video.